This week on LCARA HAMRadio, we go out on Lake Cumberland. KO4OSS and myself go sailing and find an excuse to play radio. And while we're out there, we had a great time. And I get sunburned. That's what's coming up this week on LCARA HAMRadio. Well, as we look over the Hunter sailboat here that KO4OSS owns and is about to be hooked up to the truck, we are going to go sailing. Now, Josh is race sailboats and has sailed across the Gulf of Mexico, and so he's got a lot of experience sailing. And this 18-foot boat is small enough that you can have a wonderful time and not large enough, or not too large that one person couldn't do everything. But if you've got two people, it makes his job a little bit easier. And as we'll see a little bit later, he even allows me to take the tiller and actually tack the boat into the wind and then switch directions. And that was a lot of fun because I had never done any sailing before. And here we're just knocking the dust off of it. It's been underneath the carport. And so he's taking his squeegee and hose there, and we're just making it a little bit more presentable before we take it down to the lake. As many of you know, we're Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association, so the big geographical element is, in fact, Lake Cumberland in our area, and that's where we are headed. Here we're looking at a wind vane that Josh is putting on the end of the mast. As we'll see a little bit later, this wind vane is going to be very important to understand where you need to be pointing the boat when you're out on the water. So Josh begins to set up the sailboat. Now again, the reason Josh likes this boat, and there are others that he likes as well, is that one person can set it up. Now it would be helpful to have an extra set of hands, but then you're just kind of getting in each other's way. So I ended up filming this part, but I felt bad because he ended up doing all of this setup work himself. But he's done it so many times, he knows what he needs to do from step to step. And here he's getting the main mast ready for putting into the slot you can see there on the boat. I won't show you everything that Josh did to get the boat ready, but just know that it took about 30 minutes. So Josh is just about ready to raise the mast, and he's we're talking stories and everything as he's doing this, but he's got just about everything connected where he wants it connected. You'll see those metal lines that he's got that will help keep the mast steady. And it's similar to having guy lines on a tower. But he's already got one pin in place. All he has to do is raise it, being careful. And of course, Josh is a very strong guy, so not that this weighs a ton, but allows him to keep it steady as he puts it up. And you can see those lines are already attached. Now, everything on a boat has a name, and I don't remember all the names for everything. I just know that this boat has two sails. You have a mainsail and a jib. And sometimes they might go by a different name. He's even got another sail for this that's a spinnaker type sail. So for those of you that like to go into that like to sail, you will know what I'm talking about. So at this point, Josh has the boat all ready to go. We've actually now slipped it off the boat ramp that he uses, or not the ramp, but the trailer that he uses, and you can see the sail is all the way up. We got the wind vane up there. We've got our seat pads. We've got life jackets underneath. We've got the sails already attached. You can see the mainsail there and the jib up front. And we just paid our fee, our ramp fee, $8 during the week at Marina at Rowena. And we head out on the lake. And folks, listen, I'm going to turn up the volume here a little bit, but just listen to how quiet it is. Again, thank you for bringing me out here.
Oh, it's more fun with somebody, Brian, that I can talk to rather than being out here by myself.
Well, it's hard to describe this too. You know, I've been on boats, but never a sailboat. And this is really tranquil.
Tranquil indeed. And then we pull out our radios. Now, folks, we went sailing. We had a great time sailing that day, but it was also an excuse to take our radios, and that's kind of the theme of this video. look for things that you might be doing in your life that you like to do, whether it's 4x4, going out on trails, side-by-sides, that sort of thing, out in the desert, out in Utah and Moab. Here we're sailing on the beautiful Lake Cumberland, which a lot of people think you can't sail on Lake Cumberland, but you can with the right conditions. It can't be too windy with this size boat. And here we're testing our radio, making sure we can hit repeaters in our area. But you can see Josh has just got the till, and he is making sure that we're heading into the wind at the right angle to catch wind in our sails. And we're just testing out whether or not we can hit some of the repeaters. Few puffy clouds in the sky, and as we'll see at the very end, I got a little too much sun.
Tri-Cane Valley. KO4 OSS for radio check.
Some of the repeaters we were able to hit, and then some of the repeaters we did not. Not sure if we had the tone for the previous repeater. This is the 88 repeater.
Can't hit the 88.
Good tail.
And again, this is on an HT that Josh brought. So we're just testing things out, but we did have better luck, as we'll see in a few minutes.
KO4 OSS testing.
Now, I don't have a good feel for how far that particular radio check was, but maybe 10 miles. Probably less than that. Josh would know better than I.
This is the Burkeville repeater. KO4 OSS testing. Can't get it.
Nothing.
So that was using an HT. So next we started utilizing a repeater that was using an East Coast Reflector and Wires X. And so we were just checking in, and we were getting some folks from different parts of the East Coast. And that was good because we were talking to folks from Rhode Island and so forth. So this was a really good test of hitting one of the repeaters and then talking to people from not just our local area.
Is that OSU? N4 OSU?
Something like that.
N4 OSU, KO4 OSS. Well, thanks for the comeback. You're making a fine trip up here to beautiful Lake Cumberland in Kentucky yourself, man. Sounding great. Thank you very much. KO4 OSS. Dude, that's a hell of a poke, man, from Rhode Island to Florida.
Yeah.
When we get down there, we'll drop the sails and we'll just drift. We'll set that radio up.
Okay.
That way we don't have to worry about ropes and stuff flying around and any problems. We'll set it right up here and we'll hit the 88. We'll get someone to come back to us.
So at this point, Josh brings out a Go box. This has got a radio, a small battery, I believe 5 amp hours, the cabling and so forth that we need, and an antenna. And what he's doing here is he's attaching this antenna mount to one of the rails here on the boat. And you can see it's got an SO, I believe it's an SO239 on that end. I'm not sure, it might be NMO, but regardless, you can see it's just going to be a quick little attachment point here to the rail on his boat, and that's where the antenna is going to go. And this is going to maybe surprise some of you and not surprise others, the size of the antenna that we're going to use, and as you'll see, some of the contacts that we made.
So imagine this thing would scream if it was up there
Mm-hmm.
on top of the mast.
For sure.
So as you can see here, he's attached the antenna. This is just a quarter wave for 2 meters. Quarter wave, it's just a wire, and then he attached some brass on the end just to get it a good SWR, pretty much in the 146 megahertz range, and then he's attaching a small length of cable to his radio. This is a Yaesu 2900. He's a big fan of this radio. These radios can take a lot of punishment. Large fins to keep them cool, and we're using again just that small length of cable, probably RG8X, and then we're going to attach our mic, and then we need to attach it to some power. Having a go box like this is really handy because that way you can take your radio equipment pretty much anywhere you'd like to go, and you can make it as fancy as you want as far as what you would like to bring with you. He's also got a bunch of adapters that he brings with him. Like most hams do, you practically always need an adapter for something. I think on this particular setup he didn't need one. So now we're going to try to make some contacts here with this radio. The HT's got out okay, but we're going to see if we can make some contacts with this radio out here on the lake with the sails down.
Oh yeah, got you in there, no problem now, sure do. We're right at the convergence of Otter Creek, Beaver Creek, and the main lake right here. I hooked up the 2900 with my little quarter wave, little homebrew antenna. Got it running on a little tiny battery, little 5.5 amp hours. You're sounding good.
Coming in good over here too.
Excellent. What would you say we are? About 5 miles, maybe?
Yeah, probably 5 miles.
All right, excellent, man. Well, thanks for sticking around. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, I'm going to QSY to a couple other repeaters and see where I can hit. KO4, OSS clear.
Okay, KZ4, EQ's clear.
That's Knoxville. KO4, OSS, testing. Yeah.
Wow.
KO4, OSS, aboard the slow ride on Lake Cumberland, Wayne County, Kentucky. Looking for a radio check.
UK4, PJU, Clinton, Tennessee. Sounding good here.
All right, sir. Well, thank you very much. I just got my Go radio in my box out and put it on the boat here. Got a little quarter wave homebrew. I thought I'd try it out. You're sounding real good. Thank you for the radio check. KO4 OSS.
Yeah, you making a good trip into Clinton here, down here in Tennessee. Sounds good coming off that boat. You got Mickey. UK4, PJU.
Long tail on that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mickey. Thanks so much for the comeback. This is Josh over here. KO4 OSS, clear and QSY.
So that contact here with a quarter wave antenna out on the lake with giving us a wonderful ground plane was over 65 miles away down into Clinton in Tennessee, just outside of Knoxville, Oak Ridge and Knoxville.
Try the 045.
Oh yeah, you'll hit it from here.
KO4 OSS, looking for a radio check. Almost full scale back on it.
Go ahead, KO4, OSS.
All right, sound like we rousted up AC4DM. Don, we're out here on my sailboat, slow ride, just out here at the convergence of the main lake and Otter Creek and Beaver Creek. Giving the old radio in a box, the old Go radio, a little rundown, checking her out. Run a little quarter wave homebrew bolted on the side. You're sounding really good.
Okay, very good there, Josh. Well, you're totally understandable. Of course, being down there, just a little bit of static on you, but you're totally readable, sounding good down there on the lake.
All right, well, I just caught another gear there, Don. That ought to make it a little bit better. I was down at low power, probably only doing 5 or 6 watts. That should have brought me up a little bit.
Oh yeah, that almost got rid of all your little static in there. Matter of fact, that brought you up.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for the comeback, Don. I'm gonna surf a little bit more around a little bit more and see if I can't rouse anybody else up. This is KO4 OSS, clear and QSY to somewhere else. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, very good. Enjoy yourself out there. Hey, C4DM.
That would be a perfect QSY.
Well, it's at this point we have to take the boat back. He allowed me to sail even more once we took the radio down, and running the tiller or working the tiller and making sure we were in the correct angle of attack so that the wind would take us back to the marina. He even allowed me to sail it into the marina under, good conditions. And then eventually we had to take the sails down and use our little motor to get around the docks and so forth and over to the ramp. And I just wanted to show a few more pictures here of Josh again taking everything down. And you're looking at another 30 minutes here. And we had several people say, well, that's a lot of work, right, for boating. And it is, but when you're out on the lake on a sailboat and everything is so quiet, your senses take over that you just don't get on a power boat or even a motorboat of some kind. You're listening, you're hearing, that's the sense of hearing, sense of visual. Everything seems a little bit more, probably it isn't, but more acute in your vision because you're really paying attention to everything going on around you, which you should be doing in boating anyway. Tactile as far as holding that tiller and feeling how it's going through the water based on the angle of attack. Into the wind and so forth. And it's just a wonderful experience. And then it gave us a great reason to run radio, to play radio and make a contact over 65 miles away out on the lake and hit some of the local area repeaters. That's what this is all about, folks, is take your radios with you. You might not end up using them, but if you have them, you have an opportunity to use them while you're camping, while you're out on the lake on a houseboat, or in this case, sailing out on the lake. Find reasons to take your radios with you, even if it's just GMRS, between your household. That can be useful in case of emergencies and so forth. And maybe, just maybe, you can make some contacts if you're a regular ham radio operator with your technician's license, hitting different repeaters, or if you have your general license, sometimes you can put an HF rig on these boats and reach out a really great distance. That's it for now. I'm KY4BDP for the Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association. We hope you enjoyed this video of playing radio while sailing. Press that like button and subscribe. We have a lot of people who watch the videos but don't subscribe, but it doesn't hurt for you to subscribe, and we're looking to reach 10,000. Help us reach our goal. 73, everybody.